I found the receipt in her coat pocket on a Tuesday morning. Not searching for anything, just grabbing quarters for the meter. But there it was, crumpled between old gum wrappers and tissues. 2 first-class tickets to Miami. Departure date 3 weeks ago. Return yesterday. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My wife Catherine hadn't been to Miami in 3 weeks. She'd been in Boston for a marketing conference. I remembered because she'd called me twice, complained about the hotel coffee, sent me a photo of the harbor. Except now I was holding proof she'd been somewhere else entirely. My hands went cold. The kind of cold that starts in your fingertips and crawls up your arms like frostbite. I stood there in our mudroom, coat in one hand, receipt in the other, and felt my marriage crack down the middle like lake ice in spring. I'm Nathan Walker, 42 years old, owner of a mid-sized logistics company, husband of 12 years. Was husband, I suppose. Past tense now, even if the divorce papers hadn't been filed yet. Because standing there with that receipt, I understood something fundamental had shifted. The man I'd been 5 minutes ago, the one who trusted his wife, who believed in their life together, he was gone. Dead. What stood in his place was something colder, sharper, something that needed answers. I didn't confront her immediately. That would have been stupid, and whatever else I am, I'm not stupid. Instead, I folded the receipt carefully and put it in my wallet. Then I went to work, like nothing had happened. But everything had happened. At my office, I locked the door and pulled up our credit card statements. Joint account. We'd combined everything when we got married, one of those symbolic gestures that seemed romantic at the time. Now it just meant I could see every lie she'd ever told. There, the Miami flights, charged to our card 6 weeks ago. And below that, a hotel, the Delano, South Beach, 3 nights, $1,700. My jaw clenched so hard I heard my teeth creak. I scrolled further. Restaurants, expensive ones, a rental car, spa treatments. All while she was supposedly in Boston discussing market penetration and brand awareness. Then I saw it. A charge from 2 months before Miami, premium membership, classreconnect.com, the reunion site. Catherine's 20-year college reunion had been 10 weeks ago. She'd gone without me, said it would be boring, just old friends getting drunk and pretending their lives turned out better than they had. Now I knew why she'd wanted to go alone. I created a new folder on my desktop, called it Quarterly Reports, started downloading everything, bank statements, credit card bills, phone records. I had access to all of it. We'd set up our accounts that way years ago for convenience. Another romantic gesture that aged like milk. The phone records took longer to analyze. Hundreds of calls and texts, most to numbers I recognized. Her mother, her sister Maggie, friends from work. But one number appeared repeatedly. Started showing up right after the reunion. Brief calls at first, then longer ones. Late-night texts, early morning check-ins. I ran the number through a reverse lookup. David Brennan. That name hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. David, her college boyfriend, the one she'd dated for 3 years before they broke up senior year, the one she'd cried over for months, according to Maggie, who'd gotten drunk at our wedding and told me more than she should have, the one Catherine claimed she was completely over. I sat back in my chair and stared at the ceiling of my office. Outside, traffic hummed along the street. Someone laughed in the building next door. The world kept turning like nothing had changed, but in my head, a plan was already forming. Catherine came home at 6:30, same as always. I heard her car in the driveway, her keys in the lock. She walked in, smiling, kissed my cheek like we were still those people who loved each other. "How was your day?" she asked, dropping her purse on the counter. "Fine," I said. My voice sounded normal, steady. "You?" "Exhausting. 3 meetings back to back." She opened the fridge, pulled out a bottle of wine. "Want some?" "Sure." We sat at the kitchen table. She told me about her day, some crisis with a client, office politics, the usual complaints. I nodded in the right places, asked follow-up questions, played the part of the interested husband. All while I looked at her and saw a stranger. She was beautiful, my wife. Even now, I could acknowledge that. Dark hair, green eyes, the kind of smile that made people trust her. That's what made her good at sales. People believed her. I'd believed her. "You okay?" she asked, and I realized I'd been staring. "Just tired," I said. That night, I couldn't sleep. Catherine lay beside me, breathing deeply, while I stared at the ceiling and thought about Miami, about hotel rooms and rental cars and lies stacked on lies stacked on lies, about David Brennan, whoever he was now, and how he'd put his hands on my wife. At 3 a.m, I got up and went to my office, pulled up LinkedIn, found David easily enough. He wasn't hiding. Senior VP at a tech startup in Austin, good-looking in that generic way successful men are, with perfect teeth and hair that cost money to maintain. His profile showed him at conferences, shaking hands with important people, giving presentations. He looked exactly like the kind of guy Catherine would have fallen for in college, and apparently fall for again. I dug deeper, found his company website, his email address, even his home address through public records. Found out he was divorced, no kids, lived in a condo downtown. Found social media posts about his life, expensive restaurants, business trips, gym selfies. The guy documented everything, including, I discovered after an hour of scrolling, photos from Catherine's reunion. There they were together in a group shot, standing close, too close. Her hand on his arm, both of them laughing at some joke I'd never hear. The comments underneath were telling. "Look who found each other again." Some things never change. About time. So it wasn't a secret, at least not to their college friends. Everyone knew except the husband. I took screenshots of everything. By sunrise, I had a file 3 inches thick worth of digital evidence. Receipts, photos, phone records, social media posts. A complete map of my wife's affair, laid out in excruciating detail. But I still didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I waited 3 days. Watched Catherine move through our house like everything was normal, like she wasn't destroying our life one lie at a time. I played along, smiled when I was supposed to smile, talked about our weekend plans, pretended I didn't know. Those 3 days nearly killed me. Not the betrayal itself. That pain would come later, I knew. But the acting, the pretending. Every time she touched me, kissed me, said, "I love you," like it meant something. I had to bite back the truth. Had to swallow rage that tasted like battery acid. On Friday night, I made my move. Catherine came home late, 8:30, claiming she'd been stuck in traffic. Her hair was slightly messed up, lipstick faded. She went straight to the bathroom to freshen up. Standard procedure after seeing him, I assumed. I was waiting in the living room when she came out, had my laptop open, screen facing away from her. All my evidence queued up and ready. "We need to talk," I said. She froze. People always know, I think. On some level, they know when they've been caught. I saw it in her eyes, that flash of panic before the mask came down. "About what?" she asked, casual, controlled. "About David." The mask cracked, just for a second, but I saw it. Saw the fear, the calculation, the scramble for a response. "Who?" Wrong answer. The lie confirmed everything. I turned the laptop around, showed her the screen, the hotel receipt, the flights, the phone records with his number highlighted, the photos from the reunion. Catherine went pale. "Nathan, don't." My voice came out colder than I'd intended, colder than I knew I could sound. "Don't insult me by lying more. I know everything. Miami, the hotel, the calls, all of it." She sat down heavily on the couch, opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "It's not what you think," she finally said. I laughed. Actually laughed, sharp and bitter. That's your defense? It's not what I think? Catherine, I have receipts. I have photos. I have 2 months of phone records showing you called him 347 times. You were tracking my calls? They're on our joint account. I didn't have to track anything. You were just careless. She stood up, anger flashing across her face. You had no right. I had no right? I stood too, and she took a step back. I'd never raised my voice to her before, never even come close. But something in my tone made her retreat. You're sleeping with your ex-boyfriend on our credit card, and I had no right to look at our own bank statements? It's not like that. Then what's it like? Explain it to me. Make it make sense. She couldn't. I watched her try, watched her mouth work around words that wouldn't come. Finally, she went with the classics. You don't understand what it's been like for me. You're always working, always distracted. I was lonely. So you flew to Miami and stayed at a luxury hotel with David. That solved your loneliness. Nathan, how long? I asked. The truth this time. How long? She looked at the floor. Since the reunion. 10 weeks. Yes. And you were going to tell me when? Silence. That's what I thought. I closed the laptop. I want you to leave. Her head snapped up. What? Leave. Tonight. Go to Maggie's. Go to David's. I don't care. But you're not sleeping in this house anymore. You can't throw me out. This is my home too. Then I'll leave. Either way, we're not doing this anymore. I walked to the door, grabbed my keys. My lawyer will contact you Monday. I'm filing for divorce. Nathan, wait. But I was already gone. I drove to a hotel downtown. Not a nice one. I wasn't ready for nice. Just a place to sleep that wasn't contaminated with her presence. Checked in, went to my room, sat on the bed, and finally let myself feel it. The betrayal hit like a physical blow, bent me double. I put my head in my hands and felt something break inside my chest, something that might have been my heart, or might have been my trust, or might have been whatever piece of me had believed in happy endings. I didn't cry. Couldn't, somehow. The pain was too big for tears, too sharp. It sat in my throat like broken glass. My phone buzzed. Catherine. I blocked her number. It buzzed again. Maggie this time. She told you, I said when I answered. Nathan, what the hell is going on? Your sister's been having an affair. I found out. I left. That's what's going on. Silence on the other end. Then, oh God. You knew, didn't you? More silence. That was answer enough. Jesus, Maggie. You knew and you didn't tell me? She's my sister. I couldn't. She's your sister and I'm what? Just the idiot husband? That's not fair. None of this is fair. I hung up. The phone kept buzzing. I turned it off. I spent the weekend in that hotel room planning. Not revenge. Not yet. Just survival. How to dismantle a marriage. How to separate 12 years of combined life. How to move forward when the person you trusted most had blown your world apart. By Monday morning, I had a lawyer. By Tuesday, I had divorce papers drafted. By Wednesday, I'd opened my own bank account and transferred half our savings. Legal, clean, documented. Catherine tried calling from different numbers, showed up at my office. I had security escort her out, left me voicemails that started apologetic and ended angry, like I was the one who'd done something wrong. I listened to exactly one. You're being childish, she said, her voice tight. We need to talk about this like adults. You can't just throw away 12 years because I made one mistake. People have affairs, Nathan. They work through them. But you have to actually communicate instead of running away like a coward. I deleted the rest without listening. My friend James was the first person I told in detail. We met at a bar after work, somewhere dark and quiet where I could talk without being overheard. She did what? He asked after I'd explained. Been seeing her college boyfriend since August. Miami, hotels, the works. Jesus. He shook his head. I'm sorry, man, that's brutal. Yeah. You doing okay? I shrugged. Wasn't sure how to answer. I was functional, going to work, eating food, sleeping a few hours a night, but okay? That seemed like a stretch. What are you going to do? James asked. Already filed. Divorce should be final in 6 months, barring complications. I meant about him. This David guy. I looked at my drink, watched the ice melt. I don't know yet. But that was a lie. I knew exactly what I was going to do. Had known since Friday night, standing in my living room watching Catherine scramble for excuses. I was going to make David Brennan regret every second he'd spent with my wife. Not physically. I wasn't going to hit him or threaten him or do anything that could land me in jail. Violence was stupid, impulsive, and most importantly, illegal. I had a business to run, a life to rebuild. Prison wasn't part of the plan. No, what I had in mind was smarter, colder, more permanent. I was going to destroy him professionally, financially, socially. I was going to dismantle his life piece by piece until he understood exactly what it felt like to have everything taken away by someone he'd wronged. It took 2 weeks to build the full picture. David Brennan, VP at Tech Forward Solutions, a startup that had just secured Series B funding. Company valued at $40 million, projected to go public within 2 years. David owned 3% equity, would be worth over $1 million if they hit their targets. He was good at his job, I'd give him that. Had transformed their sales division, brought in major clients. But he was also arrogant, posted about deals before they closed, shared confidential information at conferences, treated junior employees poorly according to Glassdoor reviews. Everyone leaves a trail. David's was wide and well documented. I started simple. His car, a Tesla Model S, parked in his assigned spot at his condo building. Easy to access. No cameras on that section of the garage. I went at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Wore gloves, carried a bag with super glue and a note I'd printed at a FedEx, untraceable. Filled his door locks with glue, all 4 of them plus the trunk. Slashed 2 tires, not all 4, insurance would cover all 4. Left the note under his windshield wiper. You're not as untouchable as you think. Then I walked away. The next morning I got a text from an unknown number, Catherine, using someone else's phone. Did you do something to David's car? I didn't respond. Nathan, this is insane. You need to stop. Still didn't respond. I'm serious. If you keep harassing him, I'll get a restraining order. I blocked that number too, but the car was just the beginning. Just a warning shot. The real work came next. Tech Forward Solutions had problems. Every company does, but theirs were specific and exploitable. I knew, because I spent 3 weeks researching everything I could find. SEC filings, employee reviews, customer complaints, LinkedIn posts from ex-employees with axes to grind. The company's biggest client, a healthcare network worth $15 million annually, was up for contract renewal in 6 weeks. David was the relationship manager. If that deal fell through, Tech Forward's valuation would tank. Their Series B investors would panic. Jobs would be cut. David's job would be very much on the line. I couldn't directly sabotage a business deal. That would be criminal. But I could make sure the right information reached the right people at the right time. I started with the healthcare network's CFO, found him on LinkedIn, saw he'd gone to Stanford Business School, did research, found out he was particular about ethics, had left his last company over accounting irregularities. Then I compiled a file. Every questionable thing David had ever posted online, every exaggerated claim, every instance of him talking publicly about confidential deals, every Glassdoor review mentioning his poor treatment of staff. I sent it anonymously to the CFO's work email with a simple note, thought you should know who you're doing business with. Nothing illegal, nothing falsified, just information, freely available, organized conveniently. The same file went to Tech Forward's board of directors, to their investors, to tech journalists who covered the industry. Again, all anonymous, all untraceable. Then I waited. 3 days later, David's LinkedIn posts got significantly less confident. A week after that, I heard through industry connections that Tech Forward had lost the healthcare contract. The CFO had cited concerns about leadership and company culture. 2 weeks later, Tech Forward announced layoffs, 20% of staff. David's entire sales team cut in half, and still, I wasn't done. Catherine called from Maggie's landline. I was stupid enough to answer. "What did you do?" she screamed. "I don't know what you're talking about." "David lost his job. His whole team got fired. He's ruined, Nathan. Are you happy now?" "I didn't do anything," I said calmly. "If David lost his job, that's between him and his employer." "Bullshit. I know it was you." "Prove it." Silence. She couldn't, of course. Everything I'd done was perfectly legal. Questionable, maybe. Morally ambiguous. But legal. "You're a monster," she said finally. "I'm a monster?" I laughed. "Catherine, you spent 2 months lying to my face. You charged a romantic getaway to our joint credit card. You didn't just have an affair, you rubbed my nose in it, and now you're upset that there are consequences?" "This isn't about consequences. This is about you being vindictive and cruel." "You're right," I said. "It is vindictive. And cruel, and I'm not even close to done." I hung up. The divorce was progressing. My lawyer was efficient, ruthless. Catherine had hired someone too, but her attorney was outmatched. We had evidence, documentation, a clear timeline of her affair. She had excuses and righteous indignation. The settlement was coming together in my favor. I'd keep the house, most of the savings, my business. She'd get her car and enough money to start over. Fair, the judge would say. Equitable. But fair and equitable weren't what I wanted. I wanted her to understand. Wanted her to feel a fraction of what I'd felt that Tuesday morning in the mudroom. So I kept digging. Maggie called me a month into the divorce, asked if we could meet. I almost said no. She'd chosen her sister over me, had known about the affair and said nothing. But curiosity won. We met at a coffee shop, neutral ground. She looked terrible. Hadn't slept, probably. Eyes red, face puffy. "I need to tell you something," she said. "About David." "I don't want to hear it. You need to hear it. Please." I sighed. "Fine. Talk." She took a breath. "David isn't who you think he is. Catherine doesn't know this, but back in college he had a problem. With control. With women." "He was abusive?" She nodded. "Never hit her, but emotional abuse, yeah. Made her feel worthless if she talked to other guys. Isolated her from friends. Checked her phone constantly. It got bad enough that I had to intervene. Helped her leave him. Why didn't you tell her this when they reconnected?" "I did." She looked at her coffee. She didn't want to hear it. Said people change. Said he was different now, successful, mature. She accused me of being jealous. "So why are you telling me?" "Because he's doing it again. Now that he's lost his job, he's blaming her, calling her constantly, showing up at the house. She won't admit it, but she's scared. That's not my problem anymore. Nathan, Maggie, I appreciate the information. Really. But Catherine made her choice. She wanted David. She's got him. Whatever happens now is between them. He's dangerous. Then she should call the police. She won't. She's too proud, too embarrassed." I stood up. "I'm sorry Catherine's in a bad situation, genuinely. But I can't fix it for her. I can't save her from her own decisions." Maggie grabbed my arm. "Please, I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But she's still my sister, and she's in danger." I looked at her hand on my arm, then at her face. Saw real fear there. "What do you want me to do?" "Talk to him. Make him back off. You ruined his career. He might listen to you." "I didn't ruin his career. His own behavior did that." "Nathan, no." I pulled my arm free. "I'm done. Done with Catherine, done with David, done with all of this. Tell your sister to get a restraining order if she's scared. Tell her to change her locks. But don't ask me to fix the mess she created." I walked out. But Maggie's words stuck with me. Catherine was scared. Catherine was in danger. Catherine needed help. And some part of me, the part that had loved her for 12 years, the part that had stood at an altar and promised to protect her, that part still cared. I hated that it did. But it did. So I did something stupid. I looked up David's address, still had it from my research, drove to his condo, knocked on his door at 8 on a Saturday night. He answered in sweatpants and a stained t-shirt. Looked like hell. Unshaven, eyes bloodshot, apartment dark behind him. "What do you want?" he asked. "To talk." "We have nothing to talk about." "We have plenty to talk about. Can I come in?" He stared at me, probably trying to decide if I was dangerous. Finally stepped aside. The apartment was a disaster. Empty bottles, takeout containers, clothes everywhere. Smelled like depression and whiskey. "Nice place," I said. "Puck you." "Look, I'm not here to fight. I'm here to deliver a message." "Yeah? What message?" "Leave Catherine alone." He laughed. Actually laughed, bitter and mean. "You're kidding, right? You destroyed my life and now you're giving me relationship advice?" "I didn't destroy anything. You did that yourself." "Bullshit. You sent that file to my clients, to my board. Don't pretend you didn't." I didn't confirm or deny, just said, "Catherine doesn't want to see you anymore. She's scared of you, so back off." "She told you that?" "Her sister did." "Maggie." He spat the name. "That witch has hated me since college. Poisoned Catherine against me back then, probably doing it again now. Or maybe you're just not a good person." He took a step toward me. I held my ground. "Get out of my apartment," he said. "Gladly. But hear me first. If you contact Catherine again, if you call her, text her, show up where she is, I'll make what happened to your career look like a warm-up. I'll ruin you so completely you'll wish you'd never met her. Understand?" "You threatening me?" "I'm stating facts. Stay away from her, or find out what happens when you don't." I left before he could respond. David didn't stay away. Of course he didn't. Men like him never do. 2 weeks later, Catherine called from Maggie's house. She was crying. "He's outside," she said. "He's been out there for an hour. He keeps calling, saying we need to talk. I don't know what to do." "Call the police." "I can't. If this gets out, if people find out—" "Catherine, I don't care about your reputation. Call the police. Please, Nathan, please come help." And God help me, I went. Maggie lived in a suburb 20 minutes north. I made it in 15. Found David's car parked on the street outside, him sitting behind the wheel, phone pressed to his ear. I parked behind him, got out, walked to his window. He saw me and hung up, rolled down the window. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "Told you to leave her alone. This is none of your business anymore. You're getting divorced. She's not your wife. She's also not interested. She told you to leave, so leave. Not until she talks to me face to face. That's not happening." He opened his car door, forcing me to step back. Got out. We stood face to face in the street, two middle-aged men about to do something incredibly stupid. "You think you won," he said. "Destroyed my career, took her away from me. But you didn't win anything. You're alone. She doesn't love you. She never loved you. She told me that. Said being with you was like being in prison. If that's true, then why are you here?" That stopped him. "Why are you sitting outside her sister's house at 11 at night if she wanted to be with you?" I continued. "Why is she hiding inside, scared, if this relationship is so great?" "She's not scared. She's confused. Maggie's filling her head with lies. Maggie told me about college, about how you treated Catherine, how nothing's changed." His expression shifted. Something dark crossed his face. "Maggie's a liar." "Is she? Or are you exactly who she said you were?" He moved fast, shoved me hard. I stumbled back, caught myself. "Nathan!" Catherine's voice. She was standing on Maggie's porch, Maggie beside her. "Get back inside," I called. David turned toward them, started walking. I grabbed his arm. "Stop!" He spun, threw a punch, caught me in the jaw. I fell to the ground, tasting iron. "That's for ruining my life," he said. I got up slowly. My jaw throbbed, but nothing felt broken. "Last chance," I said. "Walk away now." "Or what?" "Or I show Catherine who you really are." I pulled out my phone, showed him the screen. Photos I'd found buried in archived social media accounts. David with his ex-wife, her face bruised. Police reports I'd obtained through public records. A restraining order from 2 years ago. All of it real. All of it documented. All of it proof. "Where did you get those?" His voice was quiet now. Dangerous. "Doesn't matter. What matters is Catherine's going to see them. Everyone's going to see them. Unless you leave. Right now. And never contact her again." He stared at the phone. At the photos. At the evidence of everything he'd tried to bury. "She'll think you faked them," he said. "They're public record. Court documents. She can verify every single one. Want to risk it?" We stood there for a long moment. Him calculating odds. Me praying he'd just leave. Finally, he turned, walked to his car, got in. "If I see you again," I called after him, "these go everywhere. Her family, your family, every employer you ever apply to, everyone." He didn't respond, just drove away. I watched his taillights disappear, then turned to the porch. Catherine was crying. Maggie had her arm around her. "It's over," I said. "He won't be back." "What did you show him?" Catherine asked. "Truth." "Nathan, I need to go." "Wait." She came down the steps, stood in front of me. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. This doesn't change anything between us." "I know, but still. Thank you." I nodded, got in my car, drove home. My jaw was swelling. I'd probably look like hell tomorrow, but I didn't care. It was over. David was gone. Catherine was safe. And I could finally move on. The divorce finalized 4 months later. Catherine signed without a fight. I think after that night with David, she didn't have any fight left. She moved to Denver. New job, new life. Last I heard, she was dating someone normal, someone who treated her well. I hoped it lasted. Maggie sent me a card, thanked me again, said Catherine was in therapy, working through everything, said David had moved back to California, was supposedly getting help too. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. My life settled into a new rhythm. Work kept me busy. James dragged me out occasionally, tried to set me up with various women. I wasn't ready yet. Maybe never would be. The house felt empty without Catherine, but empty wasn't bad. Empty meant clean, meant honest, meant no lies hiding in coat pockets or credit card statements. 6 months after the divorce, I got an email. Sender, Tech Forward Solutions. Opened it expecting spam. Instead found a message from their new CEO. Apparently, after David left, they'd restructured. New leadership, new ethics policies, new culture. They'd won back the healthcare contract. Company was thriving. The CEO wanted to thank me. Said the information I'd provided had forced necessary changes, made them better. "Sometimes," he wrote, "destruction is the only path to rebuilding." I read that sentence 3 times, thought about Catherine and David and everything that had burned, about whether anything good could grow from ashes that bitter. Maybe, maybe not. But I was still here, still standing, still breathing. That had to count for something. I deleted the email, closed my laptop, looked around my quiet house, and for the first time in months, I felt something that might have been peace, not forgiveness. I'd never forgive what they'd done, but acceptance, maybe. Understanding that some betrayals can't be fixed, only survived. I'd survived. The revenge was over. The pain would fade, eventually. And somewhere down the line, maybe a year from now, maybe 10, I'd be able to think about those 12 years without wanting to tear something apart. But for now, this was enough. Being alone. Being honest. being free of lies. I turned off the lights and went to bed. Tomorrow would come. It always did, and I'd be ready for it.